Hello, everybody, and welcome to another discussion episode. Me and Jacob, every once in a while, would read comics with DJ. Unfortunately, he is not here for this discussion. He is very fine. He just has some other priorities. That's fine. He told us about them beforehand.
Yep.
When we were reading Chip Zdarsky's newest run, which starts with Batman 125 to Batman 130, Jacob had mentioned that he's not a big fan of Batman's storytelling in general, right? Modern day. But I have that right?
Yes. It's not that I hate any of it, but it's that I have a lot of criticisms of it.
So we're going to start with Chip Zdarsky's Batman run, which is only 6 issues as of the recording of January 21st, 2023. Give me our dates. But anyways, he was able to tell a 6 issue Tower of Babel's technically sequel about how what's the countermeasure to Batman versus Tom Taylor's run, which is currently still ongoing. So Zdarsky's, but
Yeah, it's been going
blockbuster run
for 12
how long
about 22 issues now, I think.
and has not concluded his overarching arc of Heartless. He's completed uh
Blockbuster.
his
Yeah.
blockbuster arc, but
That, that was like issue 98, I think, where he completed that arc.
yeah, pretty much. So, but as we mentioned in our intro, that Jacob does not really like modern day Batman storytelling. Is that correct again? To assume?
Yeah, it's there are some aspects I like about it. I like the writers usually themselves, but some of the writing is weird
Yeah,
or
but
just annoying.
yeah, but so uh, both Taylor and Zdarsky both focused on continuity. More Zdarsky remembers that he remembered Batman Zoo and R, which I think last time we saw him was in by Grant Morrison, which oh god. Man, is he a crazy guy. Grant Morrison is a crazy guy. Wouldn't you don't you think or is that just
Um,
me?
uh, Morrison comes up with crazy stories. I'm pretty
But
sure Morrison actually did Tower of Babel, which is what this is based on, or this is a follow-up to.
but anyways, so but Zdarsky like focuses on the outer team, like he focused on he had Dick, he had Barbara, Cassie, the spoiler, Tim. I realized there's only surprisingly he remembered the Robin, not Robin, the Signal. He remembered Signal. You know who he forgot?
He forgot Jason,
And
and
he
he
forgot
did forget.
Damien. He forgot
Oh yeah,
Damien. I don't know. I don't think he forgot him. He just decided
as
not to
as
use
mu- as
Damien.
much as I love that character, I didn't even miss him in the story.
Well, you didn't miss Jason either. Jason would have not have been very helpful. And we
No,
got
he would just got him.
he would have just tried to keep shooting at him, and Jason would have the bullets would have just kept. Saying. You did get a
Yeah.
mention of him. He did like the like the like the mention of in the like on Twitter I had mentioned I'm not mentioned on Twitter I had Benny the comic historian to ask what's your favorite comic movement in general. And I happened to have grabbed both from Batman Hush, which had said Batman had said Tim's Robin as being a thrill is probably why he outgrew it. Jason saw Robin as a game is probably what got him killed. But Tim, I gotta give it to the boy. He made it seem like he wants to be the world's greatest detective. And for I'm standing, he does. Well, what I've seen so far, he will be someday. Even Dick later in a later event when he was Batman had said, even as Tim explains what he found, I can't stop thinking about how much I rely on him. He's a better Robin than I ever was. He's probably ended up being a better Batman too. And in Tom Taylor's Nightwing run, he even complimented him. And then, you want to explain the joke, or do you want me to?
Yeah, so he get Dick Grayson gets his wallet taken, stolen from him. And everyone roasts him for it. So in issue 80, Tim gets him a chain wallet. It's pretty funny. It's very it's very funny to read. Um, I like how I like how he's also written in that story as well.
But like they both use Tim as a character. As far as I remember, only one issue of oh yeah, it's only been in one issue of Taylor's run, but he was in all six issues. No, all he's in four of the six issues of Tate of not Taylor's of Zdarsky's run of Batman, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
he's one of the central characters for sure.
even in the follow-up story that we did, I've read it, but Jacob has not read it. There is even because every nowadays DC with their more popular books will put backup stories in them, which for the first three issues had a Catwoman story. In the last three had a Batman Zoo and R storyline. In the current one, there's a Tim Drake storyline going on. Even when he's not in the main plot, Tim Drake still shows up somehow. And all the backups are written by Zdarsky himself. But with Dick, he's now become pretty he's I think DC is squaring up to be the new like I saw the discussion earlier, but the thought of it, but become like the new fourth pillar of DC. You heard of that?
I didn't hear about Fourth Pillar stuff, but I know that he was a central figure in Dark Crisis, and he's also the leader of the new Justice League.
Oh, it's not the Justice League. The Titans are the new Justice
Oh
League,
yeah.
pretty much. Superman and Wonder Woman came to Dick at the end, no, at Nightwing 100 after they had finished cleaning up all the prisoners from it, asked him to sit in a chair that Superman just heat vision with his logo. He said, I'd rather not be melted.
That was funny.
But even with uh we're in most modern Batman runs nowadays, they don't really play into the emotion. This one they did with how much him and pretty much his entire team Batman says they're not they're like sons and daughters, not they're not soldiers. Failsafe kept calling them soldiers. Even inside his mind during when Zuanara had taken over is like he's just a soldier. No, he's my son. They're all my
Yeah,
sons. They're not this is a war, but they're also my sons and daughters. He
it's a
cares
story
about
to
his team.
emphasize. It's a story to emphasize personal relationships, which I enjoyed about it.
Yeah. But even in Taylor's run, they're focusing on relationship. They've now again, how long this will last, I do not know. As of right now, have reconnected Tim and not Tim. That's in the Arkhamverse. Dick and Barbara as a couple again.
Yeah,
But
I think it's a great decision, and the writing is it's really fun.
so they don't shy away from emotional moments. And the drama feels earned, unlike every CW show. Oh, modern CW
I
show.
thought we were still talking about Batman, because I wanted to talk about the storytelling techniques that he uses versus other Batman writers,
Go
or the
ahead.
similar ones that he uses. So we all know that if you've watched the new Batman movie, and if you've read any of the comics, he likes to talk to himself, and that's something Chip Zdarsky leans into a lot. Batman talks and says his thoughts out loud. And something that I thought that it wasn't as as bad as some of the comics I've read. It was definitely more meaningful. It was moment to moment reaction to events. I think you can agree with that. He was basically just scared, or sometimes most of the time he was scared. He was like, "No, I don't want to lose anyone." And I think it allows you to connect to the character a lot, kind of like Spider-Man. Um, Another thing he uses is, of course, the idea of Batman and what danger he brings to people around him. I, and I like when they tackle that as much as I think that they've done it too much in recent years. I think this one's not terrible. I think it's done pretty well. I also like Failsafe as a new character because it's not the Joker again. It's not like, oh no, it's not Black Mask, which Black Mask would have been cool, but Failsafe works perfectly well for the stories that he's in. Another thing I appreciate is actually the art is really good, which is something that is it's rare to find very good art in modern comics.
You
We
can
I could
find you could I can name at least two books on the top of my head that are not very good art. Yeah.
Though art is subjective, I think that you know if you bring
Okay.
great artists on, it makes it better. I know you're gonna bring up, but I'm not talking about that one.
I'm sorry. I will not you know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah,
you cannot tell me that is good art. That
no, it's
I
not.
I think my next door neighbor's daughter's daughter, who is 6 or 7 years old at the time, could draw better. At least look appealing. Ugh. But
Yeah. But whoever's doing the art in this one or in Batman is doing a good job.
I think it's Jorge Jimenez. I think that's his name.
Yeah. Jorge Jimenez is he's very good. He's no what's the guy's name? The guy who
Right.
was in the Batcat book. I don't. Oh, Clayman,
Oh,
Clayman, whatever his name
oh,
is.
he's not him. He's not Lee or even Baybar, which
Yeah,
are all amazing artists, except for I don't know
and
much
also
about
Gary
Clayton.
Frank.
Gary
Gary
Frank.
Frank is a. I think Redondo actually does a good Batman drawing as well.
Oh yeah,
Um,
because they in it. The one thing is, I know it doesn't because it's a 6 issue arc versus Taylor, who's already telling his story. They didn't mention like for at least a week or two that one Dick was hanging upside down while his girlfriend was being mind controlled by a robot.
yeah, it's its own thing. It's not connected to everything else, which is confusing.
But one thing that is consistent, which I'm so surprised DC hasn't done, I want to say 6 years later, I want to say roughly, they have still not brought back Alfred. And no,
I
I'm
don't
not
think they
I
should.
the, for the stories they're telling with Dick in front, well, one, Dick getting a lot of money from Alfred, which one, how did he collect that much money for
He just
that
didn't
much?
use any of it.
I guess so. But two, they used it in the beginning and at the end of Nightwing 100 to explain Dick and Bruce's relationship.
I actually had a really nice moment in there. Um, because their relationship has been kind of complicated.
With
And
how
I'm not talking about the DCAU here, by the way. That's a
uh,
whole different story.
no, that's just one guy's effed up way of telling stories, which I love Bruce Timm, but that is one story I don't want to see or hear any more of.
Yeah. Um,
But
but yeah, that's I really enjoyed um the relationship between them because it's kind of like, he's one of the successes. He went a completely different way, which is which is something that we'll mention because we're not completely done talking about Batman, but we're gonna mention when talking about how the stories are written
Mhm.
between the characters because Batman is much more of a Punisher type character, but he's not really the Punisher. In a way, I don't know. He's kind of like Daredevil and like how his stories are written. But Daredevil's actually way is kind of different. Um, there's really no similarity. But Nightwing is like uh, it's like Spider-Man. If you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah, because funny enough, the one you had mentioned, we've mentioned three characters that Chip Zdarsky has written for.
I didn't realize I did. I just did it
Yeah,
unintentionally.
I know. You mentioned Batman,
Spider-Man.
Daredevil, and Daredevil, which
Yeah.
have all gotten might because for Spider-Man he wrote for Spider-Man and he wrote Spider-Man Life Story. And he
He
wrote for
also
Daredevil.
did Peter Parker. He also did Peter Parker Spider-Man.
He wrote for Daredevil with the Daredevil book and the Devil's Reign event.
By the way, um, that Daredevil book is fantastic.
And now he's
It is
writing
great.
Batman. And people have asked him in the past, don't it's a not it's a hearsay because I don't know exactly what on top of my head. He said the only main book character I'll write for because he said he has no more stories to tell for Peter Parker Spider-Man pretty much.
Yeah.
The only character he'll come back for is Batman, which he's now
Chips
currently writing.
Chip Zdarsky, um, he wrote. I don't know if you read this. I think I gave you the fifth issue because I got an extra. But he also wrote a Justice League story, Justice League Last Ride, which was also pretty good. So he has a lot of experience writing. He has experience writing DC. He also did we're gonna mention another Batman. What were those Batman anthology books called? I know it's
Batman
still going,
Batman. No, they canceled Urban Legends. They've canceled Urban Legends to my
but
knowledge.
that was what it was called. It was Urban Legends.
Yeah. Which I know it's an anthology book because I think he was telling a Red Hood and Batman plot, but issues 4, 5, and 6 and 10 I did not like of that book.
Because it was Tim Drake.
Not that
It's-
like no, I have no problem with him being bi. It makes
No, I'm not saying you had a
actually
problem with it. I'm just saying because you just don't,
I don't like
you just don't like the
the only
writing.
thing I've liked from this writer, I've looked at her IMD at not her IMDb, I'll say it is pretty much that. Her comic writing credit was the Batman. Remember Future State, the forgettable DC
Uh-huh.
event? She wrote the Robin Eternal book, which I
Oh, that
thought
was
was
one
fine.
of the most mid ones in that. It was
It was.
inoffensive, but it was boring.
It was. Unlike Justice League, which that one was a
It was
horrible book.
offensive. It was
Mm,
offensive and not boring.
But and but the but the only time that Tim Drake's book, not Tim Drake, Dick Grayson's book slowed down was during the one crossover issue, which was the John Kent storyline,
Hmm.
which makes sense why that was a storyline because Tom Taylor was writing both books.
Yeah.
I don't I don't remember if you did you like that story or not?
Which one?
The John Kent Dick Grayson story. It was a
I
two
liked it.
issue arc.
Oh, I read. I'm pretty sure we read the other one.
Oh yeah, I have both issues.
But yeah, I liked it. I didn't have many problems with it. I love Tom Taylor. I read have you read Suicide Squad Bad Blood?
Mm.
It is really good. It's Tom Taylor and Redondo doing it was one of their first team ups. I
Once.
can let you buy it, but it is a fantastic story. So
Oh,
anything that they do together, honestly, I'm willing to read.
oh yeah. Taylor's been telling great stories for a long time. He's the reason why it. because originally you remember I own only the first issue of it because it was so popular. You know the Injustice book.
Yeah.
That originally is only supposed to be a 12-issue story. That's why it's originally just called Injustice, Gods Among Us, before it got turned into year one. Because
He only wrote years 1 through 3 though, I'm pretty sure. He didn't write 4 and 5 or something.
yeah, but but he's the reason because he revolution. No, I don't want to say revolutionized, but he made comic book video game tie-ins. I don't want to, he made them good, like they can be interesting stories because Batman Arkham Asylum, City, Night, any like any video game adaptations of in comic form were never very good. I only owned
Not
one.
often.
They weren't like some were probably amazing, but after that, we got resurgence ones. Like we got Assassin's Creed ones. We got oh, I know Assassin's Creed. I don't remember if any others showed up, but
There's like a cyberpunk comic, the
yeah,
Witcher comics. There's
Witcher.
they're mostly Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah, yeah, but they
I can't speak to the quality of those.
no, neither can I, but I just he kind of like they got in people's minds like these can probably be good. Probably. How it made
Mhm.
he also proved that hey, Tom Taylor knows how to do one thing very well. Kill
Hmm.
people.
Yes.
Because he killed a
He
lot.
notoriously killed off Dick Grayson the dumbest way possible, getting hit by a rock.
He didn't get hit by a rock, he fell on a rock. That's not any better, but
Okay.
that makes it sound worse, which it was.
No, he got hit by a stick and fell on a rock.
He got hit in the head in the right place to be knocked out and landed on a rock in the right place to snap his own neck.
Uh, we got to talk about justice sometime and talk about the some of the dumbest deaths there. I believe
Oh
Tom
god.
Taylor also did Deceased, right?
He did disease, which killed
Deceased is
a lot of people.
Deceased is actually pretty good though. I
I
like it.
know. I didn't say Injustice was bad. I
It's
said,
about zombies, bro.
well, no, they're not zombies. They're anti-life equation people. That's different than zombies.
They act like zombies though,
True, because
so
these
I don't see too much of a difference.
the difference is they have, unlike Marvel zombies, they haven't run that into the ground yet,
Yeah,
which I think they're leaving Deceased off on a good note. I don't know. I'm not reading Cease 3 Undead Gods, which I think is the current run going. But back to Batman and Nightwing. Back to them.
getting off on a little bit tangent here.
We went off on a tangent. But what's where was but Dick Grayson was and Rob pretty much everybody in the Bat family has always been affected by one book. And what book was that, Jacob?
Be the Batman book.
The main Batman title. Even Detective was affected by it, which makes sense. It's his Batman, another Batman centered book, but it's all but bad things happening for Dick Grayson all started back with Tom King's run with The Wedding. What happened to Dick Grayson, Jacob?
Uh, this this nice gentleman named KG Beast uh shot him in the head.
And he became a very Dan Jurgens,
Controversial.
very controversial, but Dan Jurgens did a good idea with it with the card he was dealt with. Because one head guy at DC really hates sidekicks. And I mean hate as in he got rid of most of them. And the ones he couldn't get rid of, he made the stories bad until made them go away.
Yeah.
I think there's only two that he could not get rid of because they were too popular. You know who two of those were, Jacob?
Oh, that would be talking about let's see, sidekicks.
Yeah,
He
like
could.
well, pretty much that aged the main character, like age Batman, age Green Lantern, for example. Not that Green Lantern.
Oh, Black Wally West.
Well, pretty much Dick Grayson for Batman and Wally West. Not that they, because yes, they did make a Black Wally West initially, which they learned they can't change that back. As soon as
Oh,
you bring,
I got the original person who wrote it. It was Scott Lobdell. It wasn't it was Dan Jurgens, Scott Lobdell. You can see why this is a mess because there's multiple people writing it. So yeah, Scott Lobdell started it. So he was the one who was writing uh
okay,
Dick Grayson.
yeah, but it was which one as soon as you made Wally West in the 52 Black, they learned they can't unring that bell. That bell is rung and it can't be undone. So they decided they make Wally the African Black. They make the Black Wally West, Wallace West. Then bring back Wally West and make him a psychopathic killer who killed all of his friends. Remember that, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean it started off good in like the early rebirth, but then just messed up later.
You know
I don't
why
know,
he got
dude.
messed up? You know why he got messed up?
Is it Tom King?
No, no. Tom King did not want to kill anybody. He wanted to just tell a story about PTSD. That's what he wanted to do. The reason why they made it Wally turned it into a murder mystery was because with the Rebirth, they made it with Jeff Johns, made it where Wally was like the hope for the Rebirth era. And then he went to go work for who was it? Oh yeah, he went to work for the movies. And when the movies failed, they ousted everyone and they kind of needed to get rid of Wally. So they made Tom King kill him. No, made him kill a bunch of people and kill him as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess.
I,
Heroes in Crisis is a story
uh,
that about like a it's an analysis of heroes' psyche.
yeah.
But
The
not
message I will give Tom King, it was a good message to tell about like PTSD. It was a good thing because I think he worked for the CIA. Don't hold me on that one.
yeah,
But
he was ex-CIA.
but same thing with the we mentioned it earlier that when Alfred died, he's been quoted as saying he didn't want to kill Alfred. He wanted it to be Clayface when Bane had snapped his neck when Damian went into Gotham. But the editor's like, no, make it real. Make it like Batman that Alfred's actually dead. Like, okay. And he did it, but he didn't want to. Man, did he take a
I don't disagree with the choice, honestly. I think it
okay.
it actually set Batman and other related comics forward.
I know, but the initial gut punch of Alfred being dead, people did not like.
Of course, no one wants to see the favorite character die. I agree
Yeah,
with that thinking, but
but where but the but you the only event that actually helped Dick Grayson, which was the Joker War event,
that was
which
the end of
was
Tiny
that was during Kynan's run, which his first arc was a designer who happened to be a Joker. Ugh. Mr. Joker needs to go away for a while, but they reset him back to his original Dick Grayson counterpart
Mhm.
with a
And
jewel. And
actually,
now
I have some thoughts on that because I've read things leading up to it, and I've read the stuff from it. They lazily end all the plot points of Rick Grayson, and I think it's a disservice to both Scott Lobdell and Dan Jurgens because the story they try to tell with Lobdell, or the story they're trying to tell is someone who's lost his way and tries to do what he thinks is right. And so he has a new cast of characters pretty much. He doesn't really pay attention to anyone else. Which is kind of a minus, and it's brought up in the fact he ignored Alfred later, and but it shows like everyone was just watching over him because they were worried. But I think what they missed is one of the best love interests I think he's had in a long time, which is Bea, and they just throw it down the window, and it made me upset reading it. It still doesn't sit right with me because I think that it it was just it was sloppy, and then after that they were quick to reset with I want to say reset, but it's not a full reset because I think you would agree that Infinite Frontier was a soft reset of the status quo.
Oh yeah, Death
But
Metal was just a soft reset of everything. Soft
yeah,
as in they remember everything and they can now choose to forget anything they want to.
yeah. So
But
in the Tom Taylor run, they remember things from the previous one, but just use it as a footnote. I think that Tom Taylor's run is making a lot of progress because Nightwing was weird for a few years.
yeah, because like we had said with I would just say his name because Dan DiDio did not like sidekicks, and the reason why they had to, I guess, sloppily, as you say, ended the Rick Grayson, whatever, what Dan Jurgens and Scott Liddell were doing is he was gone. That means they no longer had to listen to whatever they call it bullshit narrative he wanted to tell. That they could sloppily end whatever Dan wanted done.
Yeah, I believe it was some. I remember thinking it was some like 52 to 74. So if I remember hearing this from Casually Comics. They did she did a video. Her channel is really good, by the way. She covers a lot of old comics and it's really funny. But she was talking about how the fan base from that series probably felt terrible after reading that, but the people who didn't read it because it wasn't Nightwing were happy, but they missed everything. Like they didn't get the experience of reading it, which I think is important because to judge it, you need to decide whether it's good. Like just going along with the narrative of the fan base saying this is bad, and you ask them have they read it. It's like, yeah, I haven't read it because I didn't like Rick Grayson. It's like, well, then you can't say it's bad or not.
Like like I mean, like you haven't liked a lot of the tangent for just a second to get to that point of you didn't like a lot of now Phase 4 Marvel at the time. Still not really
Yeah,
like most of it. You liked some projects more than others, but a lot of it you don't really care for.
no, yeah, that's true. I didn't really
But you
care
could
for it.
but you really couldn't say they were bad unless you'd seen it. Like you could say you saw Thor Love and Thunder, or haven't you?
I didn't. I
Didn't.
didn't.
But me and DJ could technically complain about it because we both have seen the movie.
Yeah, and I've watched Black Panther too. I didn't think it was good. I thought it was bloated. Thought it was went on for way too long. It was boring.
But
Um, but
yeah,
I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't like Spider-Man very much, which is rare for me. Actually, probably not that. It's not that rare in this modern era because
but
Spider-Man's kind of gone downhill. But yeah,
I I can I can complain. I can say it in private because I can say that I hated what they're doing with Tim Drake in that Tim Drake book because I read 3 issues of it and I did like a second of what I read, but I gave it 3 issues to try.
yeah, I
Like
gave it
the
a
old
chance.
anime TV show thing of I'll watch the first 3 episodes. If I do not like it after that, I will stop watching or reading it.
Yeah,
And this is the second and hopefully only time we'll have to mention how bad the book was because as I've been watching Ben Comic Historians live streams on the Midnight Suns, and he says if you don't pay any attention to something, it'll go away. This will be hopefully the last time I have to mention this book, so it'll go away. But that's the reason I and anyone can complain is if you have seen the project. If you haven't seen it, you don't get the right to complain. But
Yeah,
you know,
I like to like for example, I heard many people have mixed reviews on Gotham Knights, and I said, okay, I'll play it for myself. I'm not fully completed, but I've gotten through a lot of it. I think it's good. I just don't think it's up to the standards of like I don't think it's as good as the Arkham series. I think it's unfair
it-
um to
it's
expect it to be up to there.
yeah, because Gotham Knight we're tangenting off to Gotham Knights for just a second, but Gotham Knights was made by WB Montreal, which was made who made Arkham Origins, but had the template of Arkham Asylum and City. This is their own Batman title made from pretty much scratch. Because how much you like Origins, Jacob? You cannot tell me that Arkham Origins map and combat was pretty much it updated it, but
Yeah,
copy of
it
somewhat of
wasn't
Arkham
original.
City's comment. A comment in the map even was pretty much that too of Arkham City without the giant hole in the middle of it. But you couldn't tell me that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So this
I would never say it's completely original.
so this is their first original Arc Batman project, pretty much. They they I hate to say it, they had a losing battle because they made Arkham Origins, and everyone who's a fan of the Arkham series, I say most, not all, hate or thinks Arkham Origins should and should not exist, pretty much, because it was not made by Rocksteady. So fans are like, no, it was made by Rocksteady, should not exist. Even
That's
the
a dumb rule,
oh
by the way. That if
or
it's not made by the original developer, it's not worth anything.
that or it's not canon, which is contradictory because Knight Arkham Knight, made by Rocksteady, references Arkham Origins, at least three events from Arkham Origins, four events from Arkham Origins.
Anarchy's in
Firefly,
there.
Anarchy, and Electrocutioner are in the vault, in the evidence vault, and Firefly, while you're chasing him around, mentions at least twice, about stuff that happened in Origins, like you left me on that bridge, or this would not happen like last, or it's been
Yeah,
10 years.
you cannot say that it wasn't canon after
If
that.
they're saying things that happen in Origins, it did happen. Only thing you cannot say is canon is the comic, the Arkham Knight comic, Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, even Origins. All those comics are not canon because they didn't mention anything from them,
Well,
and they're
no,
contradictory.
well like
They contradict.
City isn't contradictory. It literally just sets up the story.
I say, I mean, no,
It
I didn't say city. I said the city comics, not the city. I said the comics, not the game
no,
itself.
no, I'm talking about the comics. The comics just
Oh,
set up everything. They're like the precursor to what happens.
yeah, but a lot of the comics were like they weren't either referenced or they weren't they contradicted the main plots.
I think you're talking mostly about Arkham Knight here.
That too, but
Arkham Knight was the big problem here. They contradicted a lot of information.
yeah,
Arkham
that
Knight in general contradicted like
oh, it
I
completely
think we talked about this, but
it
how did he not know that Jason was in the asylum when he was there at the first game?
I think Jason had escaped by then.
I don't know. It's
The thing that makes it
I'm
not
pretty sure he was there.
he could have been, but the thing that really contradicted is it technically retcons the end of City pretty much. Not completely, like it retcons the poison. They say Batman still had the blood in him, but he took the cure at the end of City.
Mhm.
I realizing we're going on an Arkham Knight tangent.
We already have an Arkham episode up if you guys want to watch that
Yeah, I
after
just
this.
realized we're going on that again. We'll tell Ender to
I
DJ
don't
to
know if
take
it's been posted yet, but we're gonna be it's up there.
ask him to take this section out of the episode and put it in this.
Yes.
But back to Tom Taylor and Chip Zdarsky's Batman, Nightwing and Batman runs. Back to them again for the
Yeah.
last time.
I think since we talked about the storytelling techniques of Batman, we should talk about the story techniques of Nightwing.
Yep, go ahead.
Um, so I've already discussed the Rocky history in the past 10 years, almost 12 years, or almost 11 years of the character. But I think the biggest difference is this one feels like it's making an actual change.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what makes it so exciting is because, you know, we talked about how he's possibly he's they're making him to the fourth pillar, which means he'll have more to do. And we've already seen that he works hard to improve his community and stuff like that if you read the book. He's also really funny, and I think that adds to the levity of the book. But also you have serious moments where he's tackling big issues. Um, that usually it's more of a it's not a complete social justice, but he's directly he's directly talking about the trying to stop the problems of the city. Meanwhile, in the previous versions, where he just kind of fought villains in the city, like you know how Batman's problem is he just puts them back in Arkham.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't try to stop them from happening. He just puts them in Arkham.
Well, Batman, which was commented in John Gordon Murphy's White Knight project, the entire project, more the first one than any of the others, but Batman initially believed in this even in Justice 2, believed that in the justice system, the criminal justice system pretty much, thinking he if he puts them away in jail, the system will work them out pretty much.
It was shown that it
It's not
didn't.
it's not working, obviously, because the Joker has killed multiverses of people, I think, at least.
It's a criticism, but I
Yeah.
think what Nightwing is doing, which is like directly getting involved to try to stop them. Um, obviously, you know they're under the crime lords like Blockbuster don't want to leave a trace, so they'll kill off people if they need to, which you see with like the police commissioner. Um, basically any dirt is like no, we don't want that. Which you also see how corruption weaves into the local government and also the police force.
But with like Nick and John, which are both Tom Taylor projects that he'd been writing, were both main heads of the most recent event, Dark Crisis. And in Nightwing 100, they've offered him Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman asked Nick to be the protect the
Every
entire
comic
world,
run.
and it'll be a new run. I think they just announced the new Titans book coming out soon,
Yeah.
but they'll be the Titans will be the Justice League pretty much now. They're retiring the
And they've
Justice League title for
actually
a little while.
and we've both been reading it and they've been featuring the Teen Titans a lot. Or they're not teenagers anymore, the Titans. They've been featuring them a lot. They've become like side characters in the book, basically.
And
Ever
we
since
have
like issue 70 or 80, 88.
yeah, around no, yeah, around 88-ish when Blockbuster put the threat out on Dick's life. They've been around since around then. Him, the Bat family, outside of Jason and Damian. And I don't know what. I guess they hate Dave.
Oh,
They just
though in the Robin book, Robin 5, I believe, there was a great moment between him and Damien
oh
because
yeah.
they have a close relationship, one that's different than everybody else.
Well, yeah, he was Batman when Damian was Robin. That so they have that interesting relationship.
But I think we were talking about how Batman deals with relationships.
Yeah,
Uh, this whole entire series is basically about them. There's, that's the main focus. Is
yeah.
character relationships.
He literally starts the first issue of this arc with calling his ex, which one is not a good thing. You should call your ex. It's usually never going to end well for you, but yeah, just talk to her, pretty much.
Unless they're Barbara Gordon, because she's nice.
Okay, I meant that just in general for normal people,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just superheroes. 'Cause mainly if it's a
He
problematic,
feels
just don't
like
talk to
a
her.
he feels like a normal guy when you're reading this. Like he doesn't feel like some sort of Batman-esque, falling from the moon type guy.
That's until later. Then he becomes the goddamn Batman.
That was the funniest moment of the comic by far.
Yep.
Uh, but this, like, I love casual moments like how Redondo draws him like making coffee in the morning when the police investigators come to his house from his apartment.
Yeah, when
Stuff
they
like
come to the
that is
detective
just,
department. Yeah.
yeah, that's the kind of thing I love about it. It's the small moments. And one of my favorite moments in the entire book, I just want to call it out right here, is when Superman talks with him. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. That was before
That
he had left to
yeah,
do go to War World, I think it was.
that was such a good moment, and I think it it fit the character so well. And um
Well, there's another nice moment, again, dealing technically with Superman, which the one t when Batman, Nightwing, and Superman were all looking for John, and Dick had asked for the lollipops in Bruce's utility belt to give one to John to get him to come out. That's how
yeah,
their
because he
relationship started,
understands the kid.
which is I like his criticism. Like, where the was in the next pocket over? I think there was cyanide cap or some
Yes,
dangerous thing next to it. Dangerous next to it. It's like I
yeah.
want to switch that. Good point.
But I think Dick Grayson is the most is in his stories is the most empathetic hero. He understands people, which is why he spends a lot of time with like the homeless or like trying to improve people's lives by using his wealth for the good. Which Batman will always complain about losing his wealth, but he'll never really try to help out the city that much. He's always too busy locking people in jail, and that's just what I see at least. I don't know about you.
Well, it's the only is the problem. It's hate to say it's serialized storytelling because they can't really fix Gotham because they run out of Batman stories to tell. So then they'd have to
Well, the
re-break
thing you
Gotham.
forget is Bloodhaven used to be worse than Gotham.
I know, and I
Bloodhaven
hate
was like the
I know, and I mean as soon as Taylor is off the book, Bloodhaven will go to ruin again. That's like how Goth every time a new Batman writer takes over from Scott Snyder to King to Tynan to Willie. Only Williams didn't do it, but pretty much all of them. Gotham started by being destroyed or getting taken over
do
by
you remember
somebody.
do you remember how am I forget? Yeah, the whole Fear State arc with Mayor Nakano.
My point exactly.
Who remembers that? Though I will say that there have been some good Batman comics in years.
I
I
do.
think
You know why I remember it?
because you read
I read it, and my wallet remembers it too. I think that was my
what
first buying
one
all the damn tie-ins, and I realized you don't buy the tie-ins. You wait for someone to make a video on the tie-ins. Ugh,
uh
that cost me a pretty penny.
actually Nightwing is pretty much consistent all the time. Like even in Future State, Nightwing was one of the best ones.
Oh, definitely.
And then of course I think Batman was also standout title.
Which
Not the
one?
next Batman.
I was gonna say which Batman. There were two Batman
Dark
titles that time.
Detective, which
Yeah,
was actually
which
really solid work by Mariko Tamaki.
that one we all read that one just to see because we had only heard about her. We've heard about her I'm Not Starfire book, which was which I've never read, but it was not what I've heard, not very good. It was
I'd
like,
have to read it.
oh, what was she going to do with Batman? And she told a
But it
compelling,
turns out it
interesting
was
Batman
good
story, which
because
But
Honestly, writers, thing about writers is they're more than just one story.
oh yeah. But at the time, we only knew of her I'm Not Starfire book, which I think at the time her only DC book, and her okay, whatever her okay X-23 run, and she wrote another book that was
Oh, that's another
okay.
Tom Taylor book actually. X-23. He wrote that actually.
Huh, I didn't know that. But
He he did the original all new Wolverine run.
hmm, but anyways, the main but I lost my own train of thought. I lost where I was. Oh,
The main
but
thing.
the main thing I remember about Dark Detective, and again for a second, was how beautiful that book was. That book was
Yeah.
beautiful and put me on sites for Dan Mora art, which he is a
Oh,
good
that's a
artist.
nut. I forgot about Dan Moore is fantastic. He is an amazing
I
Batman
like
artist.
I You own it physically. I own the a Secret Wars version of it of Civil War. I like Mark Waid's writing style, but if Dan Mora was not on the Batman Superman World's Finest book, I don't think I'd be picking it up every month. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mark Waid, that's who writes it.
Mark Waid is
He's a good
Mark Waid.
writer. I like his storytelling, but if I buy that book of Dan Mora because I like his art. He's a very good artist.
Yeah. The art sometimes sells books, which if we're gonna talk about art, dude, Redondo's art in Nightwing, literally like when I'm reading, because I'm big on like art that breaks like the norms of comics. He is big. He did an issue where there was no panels,
Yeah, he
and it
did
was
an
good.
entire splash page of motion.
Yeah, and some of the covers are just really cool to look at, which is why I think the were worth it to collect. Um,
I think there's only one issue of Nightwing that gave you kind of a headache. What issue that was? At least I thinking 100.
yeah.
That one gave you a headache just because they kept switching artists every couple pages.
Okay, yeah. That if
I,
we're gonna keep giving this a lot of praise, we're gonna have to say some stuff about it too.
like I said,
Some of
we have
the
to give
art is
negatives.
off. Some of the art that's not Redondo is weird,
Yeah,
though often not terrible. I think some of it just doesn't work, and you can tell that the people are trying to copy Redondo. Like, so for example, one of the motifs of Redondo is that he likes to like do cartoony faces, which is really funny to see, kind of like anime style reactions. But also he likes to show off the individual steps of like, for example, hitting someone on the head with a club. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's really fun to read, especially in Redondo's beautiful art style. And then I see other people doing it, and it's just kind of cheap. Same people in the same book doing it is like, well, be your own person. Like you know the guy who was working on the Batgirls book.
I think so. I'm not reading the book.
Well, I he did he took over for the main artist of the Robin book, and he had a weird art style. It was very strange to read, but I thought it was unique in its own way, and he got his own spot on the book, which was good for him. I just think it didn't work for that book. I think it's the same with Nightwing. There are good some good artists who work on the book, but they're
Yeah,
not going to beat Redondo.
I, because because the writing for Nightwing's been pretty consistent with Taylor pretty much the start of since the start of the what was the name of the event after Death Metal? We've just forgot. We've said it before and I've forgotten it now.
That would be Fear State.
No, no, no,
Oh wait.
not the no like
Oh,
not the Batman event. I meant like the entire DC Universe event, pretty much.
that would be not Doomsday Clock.
Infinite
Um,
Frontier. There we go. Thought of it finally. popped in my head.
Does anyone actually remember what happened in that event other than like the name of the books changed? I don't.
And yeah, I just lost it again. Damn it! Say it again for me. I just had it and I've lost it
Infinite
again.
Frontier.
Infinite Frontier, thank you. The main thing was it's just Joshua Williamson started his event, started his long copious event to Dark Crisis. It's all pretty much everyone remembers about it. That end had Flashpoint Batman, which spun into
Flashpoint Beyond,
Flashpoint Beyond.
which wasn't terrible. I watched the video on it,
But
but it was just a
but
retread.
but Nightwing's had the same writer and artist team pretty much the entire run. Batman, on the other hand, has had three writers and at least two artists, maybe three, at
Yeah,
least.
because I believe this, we said it earlier, but this run's been going since like March of 2021.
Yep. And
So
Tynina took
it's
it over after. Oh, he's been doing it before before the future state of well, Infinite Frontier event, pretty much. But his main Fear State event had taken over after that. I think Jorge Jimenez had taken over, had been doing the art since then. But then the art was weird with Williamson and his art, which I didn't like. That book looked, it was fine, but I did not like the art. Ugh, it didn't didn't feel right. But the art's been, I think, pretty consistent after that. After Williamson left and Zdarsky took over.
yeah. Um, Jadarsky, the art, I think we talked about earlier, the art is really good.
So yeah, it's back to Jorge Jimenez.
Jorge. The G is a he sound. So Jorge Jimenez. But that's
Okay,
just a little bit
forgive me, I'm an American. I don't know how to say Spanish
Spanish.
words very well. I try my hardest.
Yeah,
I know
I understand.
I know how to say taco, right? I don't say taco like an actual American. I've heard some people say taco.
Taco.
That's too much of an A sound. More ah, more of a ah sound.
Hmm.
Now we're going into language. Crap. You anything else you want to say about Nightwing and Bruce?
Their relationship or just the book quality?
See,
I would
both.
say check out Volume One, gliding, jumping to the light. It's a good one. Um, I bet you'll enjoy it. Other than
And
that,
I'll say
I don't
check
really have
out,
much else to say.
we don't have a title yet, but check out when it does come out. First volume of Chip Zdarsky's Batman run.
I think it's good.
Yep. So this has been your favorite group of Southern California Sons doing their job. They're
Jacob.
Jacob and Carl doing their best to
I
do
thought
an
you were
outro
going first.
without DJ. We have an intro, dude. We did an intro, right? I don't think we're gonna do an
Yeah.
outro very well.
Is your Southern California cousin?
Okay, no, we're not from Alabama. Hey, and I can make that joke. I got family out, but also don't forget to go to Jacob's house and go get some cookies or a piece of brownies because I have brownies in my
I
house.
thought you were supposed to go to DJ's house. What's up with this?
Well, DJ's not here, so you're the stand-in this time for the gym. See you guys next time. Bye.
See you later.
Yep.